right, welcome in to Past the Wire TV, another edition of the Kentucky Derby Radar Show. I am Jim Gazzale, joined by Kevin Gazzale. Welcome back to the show, Kev.
How's it going? Ready to get into it. Stinks there's only one race, one big race this weekend, or two, but it's definitely going to pick up in the next couple of weeks.
Yeah, big field signed on here at Fairgrounds for the Risen Star. It is the first 50-point Kentucky Derby prep race and pretty loaded field, full starting gate. We'll obviously see about scratches come race time, but I feel like half the field has a legitimate shot to win in here.
Yeah, I agree, and it's a lot of them have already raced against each other, but a lot of them too haven't run yet this year. So it's kind of seeing who you think you can predict is going to make a big jump, and that super long stretch at the Fairgrounds always adds a little, notch in here that makes it difficult to pick a winner, but we'll see.
Yeah. Speaking of the horses making their first start at 3, John did the Risen Star by the Thoroughgraph numbers, where he went through all of the patterns of each horse coming into this race. That's live up now on the Past the Wire TV YouTube channel. I highly suggest checking that out to kind of further your insights from what you'll gain here. And one of the things that John always says is, seeing how that first start at 3 goes, he typically wants to see a horse exceed his 2-year-old top, according to the Thoroughgraphs. So a couple of interesting insights from him during that show, which, like I said, is up on the Past the Wire YouTube page right now. So go check that out before you make your bets for the Risen Star. All right, let's dive in here. Did you have anything on these first two, Tizzy Indy or Awesome Ruda? Both seem to be up against it for me.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I think they both are kind of lacking in pace figures in general, and your late figs. A couple of Tizzy Indy ran in the Lecomte, finished 5th, 13 back, went off at 60-1. I don't see anything really from either of these.
Okay, Honor Marie was one that I really liked. I think he has a legitimate shot in here. I thought his Kentucky Jockey Club at grade 2 in the fall was an impressive race, and just kind of seeing that progression from September to October to November, just kind of slowly increasing the speed and the stamina. I think this horse is definitely one that is eligible to improve in his first start at 3, and should improve at his first start at 3. So I would definitely figure this one to be in the mix.
Yeah, I agree. I think he'll be less than the 6-1. I think that's going to drop from there, just because it does set up like Track Phantom, who we'll get to later, front runner, early pace setter. You would kind of have to think the way you want to beat him is with a late runner, and Honor Marie is at least showed at 2 that he's the most powerful of the late runners in this field. So, but I don't think that 6-1 will hold, which is kind of what made me, scared me off him, making him a top pick. But in like a multi-race bet, I would definitely use him for sure. And I would say he's one of the probably top 3 most likely winners here.
Yeah. The next one that I really liked is this Sierra Leone. The Remsen, you thought he had that race won, but Dornoch was able to come back down on the inside and get up at the wire to beat him. But still, an excellent jump up from his maiden effort and a quality race. And like you said, this race may set up with Track Phantom on the lead early and on the gas with that long stretch, could set up for a late runner, and Sierra Leone is one of those late runners that I would definitely be backing, especially if you get the 4-1. And we'll talk about some of the other horses in here, and I think that Track Phantom 7-2 on the morning line is probably going to come down a little bit. So perhaps we do get that 4-1 on Sierra Leone, which I think would be right in the ballpark of where you would want to put some money on this one.
Yeah, I like you said, I mean, he should have won the Remsen. I mean, if you had him in that race, you would have hoped he would have held on. My only fear with him is just that it was, in the slop, super quick pace, kind of like a staggeringly fast pace in terms of what you would normally see in a 1.125 prep like that. And then Chad's going blinkers on. He has good percentage, 22% first time blinkers, but he rarely ever does it. The stats I'm looking at here is pretty much just over 100 races out of a total 1,000 races in 23-24. So it's, and I've always been taught by our dad that anytime someone makes an equipment switch going into a big race, means they're a little nervous. But I think if he's second choice, he's a good horse, and his figures are, at least on Brisnet, were two big speed figures, late pace and speed figure. But at that short of a price, I think I'm looking elsewhere. And also, it was like a muddy track. He's a candy ride, and I always like to think that the candy rides prefer the mud. So could just be a thing where he liked the mud much better than everybody. So I think I'm going to sit and wait on Sierra Leone and see how he runs in this race, and hopefully maybe he doesn't run that well, and then he can kind of come back on him in either the Wood or wherever Chad puts his horse next.
Yeah. I think this horse is a monster, and just, physically an imposing horse. And, I think with, what are we looking at? You've got basically all of December, all of January, and half of February. So, a good 10 weeks layoff to mature a little bit. Even 8 weeks or 11 weeks. It's going to be 77 days since his last race.
Hasn't missed a workout either. Looks like.
I think he's sitting on a huge race, and anywhere near 4-1. I'm all in on Sierra Leone. Anything else on? Did you have anything on Moonlight? Todd Pletcher. I wasn't too crazy about his Remsen effort, and perhaps he'll take some money, but I wasn't really interested in this one.
No, I agree. I mean, he could surprise us if he gets on a fast track. He hasn't had that since September, his maiden win. But that was also an off track, so that figure could be a little inflated, winning by eight lengths. But yeah, I mean, good works, but like you said, it's kind of if you use this horse, it's almost like you're guessing and just kind of hoping that a fast track is just going to change this horse's form.
Yeah.
And when is Florent Giroux ever ridden the winner for Pletcher? I feel like that probably hasn't happened in a really long time, if ever.
Yeah, it's probably very rare if they don't include that stat in the Brisnet.
Yeah.
Real Men Violin. This was another horse that I liked and I think has a solid shot to be in the mix here. Again, broke his maiden on a sloppy dirt track at Churchill, then came back a month later, finished a decent second in that Kentucky Jockey Club. Posted some pretty decent figures. And again, just this horse's first start at 3, I feel like he's eligible to improve and should improve. And based on that, the figures that he could run off of a little bit of a freshening here from 2 to 3, I think puts him in the mix.
Yeah, I went back and watched that Jockey Club, and he got a great trip. Kind of dove down to the rail coming around the turn, but he was never catching Honor Marie, even in like deep stretch there. And it just looked like even at 1.125 miles, Honor Marie would have kept running away from him. But with this layoff going from 2-year-old season to 3-year-old season, he could very well improve much better and with getting older than Honor Marie. But I think if they both have a similar jump from 2 to 3, I don't think he can beat Honor Marie. But he was, I mean, his figures fit, but he was one I thought if you like Honor Marie, you can't like them both.
Yeah.
But it sounds like that's exactly what you like.
I'm just saying. I'm just saying these are the horses that I think have a reason to win. I mean, I'm behind Sierra Leone all the way. He's getting my win bet. I'm just sharing the wisdom of some of these other horses and things that kind of stuck out to me.
I mean, he got Real Men Violin got like a fantastic trip, a fantastic ride by Hernandez. It looked like he should have just ran on in the stretch, and Honor Marie came flying down the outside. But I just think if it comes down to them two, you would think if they both improve in a similar fashion, that there's still a little bit, a couple length gap between them.
Yeah. We'll go through this Hall of Fame and Catching Freedom, and then I'll kind of touch on just these horses kind of bunched together here in the starting gate. Hall of Fame was another one that I think certainly eligible to improve, breaking his maiden last time at Fairgrounds for Steve Assmussen. Pretty much ran off the screen. Again, just another opportunity for this horse to make a step forward. Gun runner, Asmussen at Fairgrounds. I think there's some things to like here, and certainly one to factor in.
Yeah, I didn't get a chance to go back and watch his maiden, but anytime you see a 10-length winner, kind of jumps off the page at you, especially that huge jump in speed figure. I'd be a little concerned with his late pace fig, but winning by 10 lengths, you imagine, he's geared down a bit and, saving some stuff in the tank. But the only thing like this turnaround, I mean, horses nowadays, I feel like it's only a couple weeks for him, like early in his 3-year-old season, that would kind of make me weary. But like you said, Asmussen, Santana, Fairgrounds, it always and a $1.4 million purchase seems like definitely a contender.
Yeah, this Catching Freedom was also interesting to me. Kind of an even effort from that November race to the Smarty Jones on New Year's Day at Oaklawn. Fine. I think fine victory there in the Smarty Jones. But again, just, thinking that this horse certainly is eligible to improve off of that effort. And what the potential that they could run, I think puts them in the mix here. One interesting thing is kind of looking at this on the fly right here. The 6, 7, and 8 all kind of have, similar running styles. I guess you kind of expect out of those 3, the 7 to be a bit more forwardly placed, but that'll just be something that I'd be interested to kind of watch and focus on as they break out of the gate, just to see where those 3 kind of end up going into that first turn. Just, who's going to be the one to jump out of there and try and get some early position, and see which ones are happy to kind of take back. So just a little extra thing that I was kind of thinking about as I was trying to envision what this race kind of shapes up, over the mile and an eighth.
Yeah, 8, Catching Freedom was actually who I landed on. I went back and watched that Smarty Jones, and he was all over the track, like super rank, super green in the stretch, and still managed to run on and caught Just Steel, who's like hasn't won a significant stakes race to this point yet, but is a solid horse. Ran in some stakes last summer at Saratoga, finished second in the Smarty Jones, and then second in the Southwest. Beat Mystic Dan, who was also in there, who ran on and won the Southwest by 10 lengths or whatever. I just think he has a really really good chance to improve, get a little bit more season, get a little bit less green when he's out running in the open. And then whenever I'm playing fairgrounds, I'm looking for horses that look like they just need something to run at, and I think that long stretch and him coming off the pace is going to provide just that. And Saez, Brad Cox, Fairgrounds, Triple Crown Prep, that's kind of where I put my eyes.
Yeah, no argument there. This Cardinale, if I'm pronouncing that right, any interest in that one?
The only interest was just that last year, you had mentioned when is Flavian Pratt ever ridden for Todd Pletcher, and that was when we were talking about Kingsbarns, and he went on and ended up winning the Louisiana Derby. Otherwise, I just think his figures are just a cut below. But he's got the one race in his 3-year-old season, was improved off of last year, but I think he still needs to improve a little bit more, a couple lengths to compete here.
Yeah. This Resilience I thought was also interesting, and might be sitting on a nice race. Just kind of looking at the progression of these 4 maiden races to break that maiden last time out. Just, a steady progression from September, running fairly consistently, and also training consistently since breaking that maiden on January 1. So again, just another horse that I think can certainly take a step up, and based on the past figures, a decent move forward, I think puts Resilience in the mix here. And, you might even get more than this 12-1 on the morning line.
Yeah, and I mean he's I liked him. He was probably my second choice in here. The only thing that sort of scared me off was it took his maiden win. Like the horses he beat in there really aren't strong horses. But if you go back and look, second race out, he beat Track Phantom.
Yeah.
Finished second, and then his maiden he lost to Locked. And then Nash is somewhat of a strong horse. Like he's just run against some pretty good horses. So maybe he just needed, to get away from some killers and, get a little bit of confidence. You could also further get into it and see maybe he just needed Lasix and now he's not getting it again. But I do think he has a strong chance to kind of pop a big number here. And John Velasquez, it's always a good rider to grab for a race like this. But he was someone outside of that grouping of those mid-range, mid-odd horses. This 12-1 morning line. I think he definitely has a better shot than most around that same price point.
Yeah. All right, Track Phantom, probably the most regarded horse so far down in Louisiana. Like we've talked about a little bit so far, just that early front end type that has been able to sustain some decent paces. Looking back at the Lecomte, 24, 48-1, 113, pretty standard, but nobody has been able to catch him. I'm against him here. I feel like the competition is heating up now, and there are a lot better horses than he's faced recently. So I would look to beat this favorite because I think he's going to drift down off that 7-2 just based on some past performances there. Coming out of the last race, the last two races, really back-to-back wins over this track. So I'm trying to beat him again with the Sierra Leone, but what about Track Phantom interest you or turned you the other way?
Saved it. I'm going to try and beat him. I mean, he's favored. I mean, he's going to be favored. He's had really strong races. It's just this is such a huge field. But, however, if he wins this race, I mean, this horse, if he wins, to me, he ends up setting up very similar to Epicenter from a couple of years ago. Mm-hmm. Same running style in these preps, just kind of ran out there. And you always think all he needs is a horse to challenge him on the front end, and you're going to be able to beat him. And then you never can. That year, I bet against Epicenter every race until the Breeders' Cup, and I bet on Epicenter to beat Flightline because I thought that was a good decision. But so I'm telling myself, this is just for me to watch this back and tell myself that if Track Phantom wins this race, he's winning the Louisiana Derby, and Assmussen's probably going to do the same thing. He's going to rate him in the Louisiana Derby to show that he can do it, and then as long as Rich Strike doesn't come up the rail, he's going to win the Kentucky Derby. So that's where I'm at. I'm against him this race, but if he wins, I'm fully on board in the Track Phantom boat.
Yeah, I agree. I think if he wins this, he will, a couple months out, still cement himself as the Derby favorite. I think, it would be 3 consecutive wins and just kind of upping the competition each time, and would be, like you said, it seems like Assmussen has that plan that he kind of followed with Epicenter, and this one's starting to mirror that a little bit, and a win here would really put him on that same sort of trajectory. And, by all accounts, Epicenter was a fantastic horse, right? I mean, damn near everything.
There's really, I could go on and on, but there's really no difference between Epicenter and Essential Quality. And I feel like those two horses are looked at so differently, but I could go on and on.
All right. B Dancer, anything there? I wasn't all that interested.
No, neither was I. I mean, it's a good maiden win figure, but from the 12 post second start, with a trainer who doesn't have a great graded stakes percentage, he's kind of up against it. So I wouldn't use him.
All right. So you're on Catching Freedom and
Resilience, the 10. Resilience? 8, 10 were my top two.
Yeah. I'm the 4, Sierra Leone, all the way, top choice.
All right.
Win bet.
Yeah. I'm gonna see if he runs well. I'm coming back on him with you in the wherever Chad puts him next.
Yeah, I would have to guess maybe
the wood. The wood, I would assume.
Maybe.
Yeah, maybe.
But yeah, we'll see. Yeah, I think just kind of looking at it from there, like we've talked about, that long stretch could blow up the exotics, the exacta, trifecta, superfecta, with some of these longer priced horses kind of clunking up for second, third, or fourth. So if you're playing anything beyond a win bet, just keep that in mind for a variety of these horses. Just kind of looking at it quickly, this 1.125 miles is going to be further than they've gone before. So it could set up for some of these longer shots to come in at that second, third, fourth, at 10, 12, 20 to 1. And
which, yeah, in that case, I would say out of those, B Dancer would probably be definitely the one I would chuck in underneath over the other two. But yeah, like you said, I mean, you could really get anybody lugging in for third or fourth with a race.
Yeah. Great. So you're on Catching Freedom, and I'm on Sierra Leone. We'll regroup next week and see how we fared. Any parting words? Any other tracks you were looking at this weekend?
No, I'll have a golden hour out for tonight and tomorrow. We'll have that posted, and then go from there. Try to get back in the winner's circle. All
right. Always good to see you. Good luck. Thanks everybody for watching the Kentucky Derby Radar Show, focused on the Risen Star down at Fairgrounds. And we'll catch everybody next week.
See you.
Nobody does it better.